What's up, guys? This is Chris here, and today we're going to be going over one of my most frequently asked questions, and that is, if I could only have 3 guns, what guns would they be? Now, we've already talked about this a couple times, but I get this message constantly, and I also get a lot of comments on every video about this idea. Another reason why I wanted to talk about this list is because I feel like it's a little bit different than some other people's lists. The classic 3 guns is generally a Glock of some type, a shotgun of some type, and then an AR-15. And the reason why that is because those 3 make the most sense for most people, and it covers the most bases that you could possibly cover with 3 guns generally. Now, I am going to have one of those 3, but the other 2 are going to be a little bit different, and that's to tailor it to my own personal lifestyle. And I think when you're thinking about the guns that you're going to keep, if you're only going to keep 3 guns, you have to first rule out sentimental value. If this was just a sentimental list, this list wouldn't look anything like this. I'd probably just keep 3 guns my dad gave me, or 2 guns my grandpa gave me, or something like that. So today I'm going to try to make a list that I think will help some people, and hopefully it will help you make choices in the future for your purchases. Before we do that,
hey guys, Lorraine, Mrs. Honest Outlaw here, and today I have a request for you that is a little outside of the norm. Today I am talking on behalf of my best friend Brittany and her brother Ledger. Ledger is 16 years old, and for the second time of his life he is battling leukemia, only this time it is much more dire. Ledger needs a bone marrow transplant, and they're desperately looking for a donor for him. If you feel called in your heart to join the bone marrow registry to see if perhaps you could donate bone marrow to Ledger, the link is in the description below, and we would be so honored and thankful for you considering being a hero for Ledger.
Now, I think the first gun that I choose is going to be the gun that I think most people are going to choose, and that is probably going to be an AR. And the reason why an AR is the most popular choice for this conversation is because of its modularity and its usefulness across multiple things. So first, with an AR, I can use multiple uppers because the lower is still the only serialized part. So if I want a 10.5, if I want 11.5, if I want a 9-inch 300 blackout, if I want a 20-inch 6mm arc, it can cover a gambit of activities that most guns simply cannot do. So first off, I would get probably a BCM, and the second thing I would get would be 3 uppers, a 11.5 5.56. I would probably get a 14.5 5.56, which conveniently is the same loadout as almost all the Special Forces units, because you can cover almost everything defensively minded with an 11.5 for close range and a 14.5 for medium range. I would consider the third upper probably in most people's mind would be something like a 6mm arc, or maybe a 223 Valkyrie or something like that. But for me personally, it would be a 350 Legend upper for deer hunting. The reason why I would do that is because straight wall cartridges are legal in my state. I like to deer hunt, and it would be a really easy upper to use. Now, I would probably also get a 22 conversion kit. That way I could shoot small game like rabbits and squirrels and stuff like that, if for a survival situation and maybe for plinking. But the reality is that wouldn't be one of my 3 go-to, just because I don't do a lot of that. The hunting I do for the most part is deer hunting, and I can easily do that with an AR-15 upper while simultaneously having a different upper, an 11.5 for example, for home defense, and then maybe a 14.5 or 16 for long enough range shooting that I do. I usually only shoot out to 500 yards, and I can literally do that with an 11.5 5.56 or a 14.5. So it pretty much covers all my bases, and saying an AR lower is sort of a cheat code, but it is a realistic pick after all. You can in fact buy 1 lower and buy 50 uppers, and that's the only paperwork that you do, so that's probably my first pick. Now, if you could only stretch me to 1 AR-15, it would probably be a 14.5 5.56 BCM, and that's because that can cover almost everything. I could CQB with that. I could hunt with that in a pinch, although not legally in Iowa. But if we're talking about kind of a shit hit the fan scenario and I can only have 1 rifle, that's probably it. But if we're talking about 3 guns, I'll probably take the lower and several uppers. Now, all those uppers would probably have M-lock rails, and they would probably kit it out completely the same. Probably Surefire Scout Light with a pressure switch, or not. They would probably have a vertical grip, and they would probably have BCM rail covers on them. They probably have a Magpul XL grip on the lower with a BCM stock because I pretty much run that setup on all of my AR-15s. I like simplicity and I like having the same setup for each gun. That way I don't have to relearn controls. It's just there right now. So if I'm deer hunting, same controls as it would be as if there's some asshole in my house. Optics wise, the 11.5 would probably have either Trijicon MRO or Aimpoint T2, depending on what my budget was. The MRO is a great optic and the T2 is unbelievable. Those are great close range optics, and then my medium range would honestly probably be a Primary Arms PLX 1-8 or maybe the 1-8 Collis, because that pretty much covers all of the gambits that you could possibly have. And again, if I can only have one of those rifles and it was a 14.5, I'd probably go with like either a 1-6 Collis scope or something like that, so it would cover every range that I needed to. A lot of people put multiple optics on a 1-6 or a 1-8, like they'll have a top ride red dot or a side ride red dot. I personally feel like I don't need that because I have the one power of the scope, and I know people say that's slower, but I can shoot it pretty quick. For my second choice, I would probably pick a small concealed carry gun, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. I would pick the carry gun that I carry every day, and that is going to be my Shield Plus. My Shield Plus is probably the gun that I use the most if you're talking about using it. I mean, I literally carry it every single day. My hands are on it every single day. The gun gets used all the time. In this holster like this, I have two Shield Pluses, one with an optic and one without. Both of them are the Performance Center Shield Pluses with the V-ports. It's a 3-inch 9mm, so they can be a little snappy, and I like to train with my carry guns a lot. People talk a lot about recoil control and on the timer and stuff like that, but what I like 40 guns for is longevity. Because if I'm going to carry a small gun like this, I'm going to shoot it a lot because it's hard to shoot. This is a really small gun with a relatively good trigger, but a short sight radius, and you need to have a lot of trigger time on these. So in order to do that, I like the compensator. I also like the Shield Plus because it has lower recoil than most of the Micro 9s to begin with. It carries a 10-round magazine, a 12-round magazine, or a 15-round magazine. So I have a 10-round magazine in the gun, usually of SIG Elite Performance or Federal HST or Critical Duty. And I carry a lot of spare magazines in my truck and one in my pocket. That way I can have 10 rounds in the gun, can have a flush fit, really comfortable platform, and then I can have a lot of capacity if I need to. And I practice a lot of reloads, so even though it's 10 rounds in the gun, it can be 15 pretty quick. Pretty happy with that. Now the Performance Center also comes with a little extra texture on the grip, and then obviously the flat face 2.0 trigger, which not only allows me to get good recoil control, but really good accuracy at extreme distances, even with iron sights. Now I do end up carrying the iron sight version of the Shield Plus a lot more than I carry my optic version lately, and that's just simply because it's slightly more comfortable for my beer gun. And I can shoot iron sights really, really well. Iron sights never run out of battery, they never come off zero, and I've been shooting iron sights ever since I was around 8 years old, and I'm pretty good at them. If you're an optic guy and you shoot optics all the time, well then by all means carry an optic, but the reality is not only do I shoot iron sights pretty well because I'm an older guy, but I also do review guns constantly, and almost all of those have iron sights, so I shoot iron sights more than most people do, and a whole bunch of different varieties of iron sights, so I'm just weirdly very comfortable. 0 to 50 yards, I'm extremely confident that I can make a hit under stress, and that's why I carry it. Between that and the fact that it's a very, very comfortable gun with a capable caliber, I'm pretty happy with. I carry a Bodyguard 380 every once in a while, but I usually err on the side of 9, partly because of just the overall performance I get out of the Shield Plus, the shootability, the accuracy, but I do like that extra penetration that you get from 9mm over 380, and penetration matters. Especially in Iowa in the winter, I wouldn't trust a 380, especially an expanding 380, to go through a heavy winter coat, so I like to have a 9mm to get that extra depth if I need to do that. Now the way that I have this gun kitted out is I have a phalanx concealment inside the waistband holster, and I carry appendix style with this, and then I also have a set of Trijicon sights on here, the Trijicon HD sights that have the orange HD front, and they are tritium night sights, and it does have the U rear notch. I find that I shoot that a little bit faster, but the biggest thing that I like is the ability to run these sights off stuff if I need to, because I've been in some self-defense situations in my lifetime, and almost all of them have including wrestling and fighting and punching and all the fun stuff that comes before shooting a handgun, and I like to have the ability to run the gun with one hand in case I only have one. Now the last gun's gonna be weird, because the last gun I probably should pick a shotgun. I like pheasant hunting, I like hunting with shotguns, but you know what I like more? Going fast. So honestly, if it were me and I had to pick one more handgun, it was only one, I'd probably pick a Compt Custom 2011. And I don't know that it would matter which one performance-wise, whether it would be a Staccato XC, whether it would be a Terran Tactical Sand Viper, whether it would be, honestly, like a Apache of some kind, or the Nighthawk Sandhawk, or the one I'll probably pick for style points, which is going to be my custom Erebus. Now, I'm not sure you guys have seen this, but probably the gun that I shoot the best in the world is the Atlas Erebus. But this one was kitted out for me, and I paid for this. I love this gun, and I had it kitted out exactly the way I want. It took me about 7 months to get this gun back after I purchased it, because that's how custom guns go. But it has my cool little logo in the grip there. It has the exact grip I want. It has my favorite optic of all time, which is the RMR HD. And then it also has the set of controls I like with the 45-degree safety. It has a very lightened slide. It has a lightened recoil spring. It has a 1.8 pound long serrated flat face trigger, which is my personal favorite trigger in my color scheme, with probably the most effective single port compensator that I've ever had on a handgun. I can probably shoot this further, faster, and overall better than I can any gun besides maybe the Pit Viper or the Sandhawk. And because this has my name on it, I'd probably choose this one. Now, I really like 2011s, and they are the platform that I shoot the most. And if you had asked me 10 years ago, I probably would have picked a Shadow 2, because I used to shoot a lot of competition, and these guns are not legal in competition. If I take this into a USPSA competition, I'm shooting open minor, and I'm probably gonna get my ass kicked, most likely. But that's okay, because I don't really shoot much competition anymore, and if I do, it's just for fun. So this would be a fun gun to shoot for that. I mostly shoot on the range, and I mostly have a lot of fun shooting plate racks and stuff like that. So I think this would probably be what I would choose, because not only can it double as a range gun, but it's a wonderfully effective home defense gun as well. And people say competition guns can't be home defense guns, and those people don't have any competition guns, because the faster, the more accurate, the more reliable gun is. I'll take that shit any day of the week for my self-defense gun. So maybe you can say this wouldn't be a great home defense gun, but if you broke into my house and I had this, I bet you'd think otherwise. Overall, I love this gun, and it's extremely expensive. It's I think it's a $7,000 pistol, right? $7,500. And I got a little bit of a discount, but I did pay, and I gotta tell you, it was worth it. It's a sexy gun, it shoots crazy fast, but any comp 2011 could really take the place of this. I mean, aside from maybe the Prodigy. Even the Prodigy could work. My Prodigy guys out there, I always love Prodigy dudes, because I'll talk to you guys, and you guys are like, oh, I love the Prodigy. After I put a bunch of Atlas Gunworks parts in it, or a bunch of Wilson Combat parts, I'm like, see? But it is what it is, right? At the end of the day, this is my list, and this is what I chose for my own personal benefit, and it doesn't reflect what you should choose. Obviously, if you don't like 2011s, if you don't like shooting a lot of high-speed stuff on the range, then pick a Glock 34. That can handle almost every base you need. You could pick a Glock 19, a Remington 870, and you could have a PSA AR, and you could cover all your bases super easy for less than probably what I spend on ammunition a month, and that would work for you. So again, this is not a representative of what I think you should take. It's just an honest take on what I would. This list had a very strict set of guidelines to it. Basically, what 3 guns I would pick for no particular reason if I could only have 3, probably legality, stuff like that. That list would be different if this was like the end of the world, or if I had to add in a lot of my sentimental choices, like let's say my first shotgun or my grandpa's handgun, stuff like that. So if you guys want to see a slightly different list of this, or maybe a list with a lower price tier, you can let me know in the comment section below. Something like, if I could only have 3 guns under $1,000, what would I pick? So if you guys want to see that video, let me know. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters. Check you later.